is not running things in the White House. He might be running the Spotify playlist. He might be making the changes to the Rose Garden. But when it comes to real policy decisions, yeah, Donald Trump is not in charge. Of course, no one is spewing more angry bile than Trump, but the people carrying out his disgusting and illegal plans are doing so without Trump's knowledge. And that was just exposed how his aides are using his cognitive decline in a shocking leak that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump's aides are clearly using and abusing his cognitive decline, how it was exposed, and why it has MAGA melting down, I want to start with the people who have been victim of Donald Trump's illegal attacks and how they're fighting back. That's J.B. Pritzker, that's Gavin Newsom, and they're calling it out right here.
So speaking of chilling, JB, we saw those images of people descending from helicopters in the dead of night, armed, masked men. Give us a sense of what you're dealing with specifically on the ground in Chicago.
The only invasion or mayhem that's occurring is happening because the Trump administration is visiting it upon our city. Middle of the night, Black Hawk helicopters, ICE agents rappelling out of this military helicopter down the side of this building. It has about 130 people in it. They were targeting a few, but the 130 people had their doors broken down, their windows broken. They took innocent people out and zip-tied their hands. Children, I might add. And a number of these people were U.S. citizens, and others were legal residents of the state of Illinois and the United States of America. And yet they were held for hours.
I think that it is so important for us in every turn to point out that Donald Trump is weak. That is the messaging that Democrats should be using around every action that Donald Trump takes, because he is losing in court, he is losing public support, he can't negotiate an end to this government shutdown, which Americans overwhelmingly blame him for. Donald Trump is weak, he is ineffective, he promised that he would change a broken system. Yeah, the system is broken, but it's only being broken more in favor of Donald Trump every single day, whether it's corruption through crypto, clear insider trading within his administration, and any other number of disgusting actions that these people take. They are serving themselves, but they can't get anything done for you. One, because they don't care, and two, because Donald Trump is incapable. He is unable to actually get anything done. And that weakness also presents itself on the world stage, which is why Donald Trump couldn't bully, yell, and scream his way into a Nobel Peace Prize, which is actually really important for what his aides are doing. So I want to take a look at what Trump had to say right here about that Peace Prize.
The person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. That a very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me though. I think she might have. She was very nice, and I've been helping her along the way.
Yeah, Donald, I'm sure they did call you up and say that the Peace Prize was really yours and that you deserve all the credit and everything Trump does is amazing and you're dating a girl who goes to another school and actually she lives in Canada. It's all bullshit. I need someone, though, to point out the fact that Donald Trump says that he's ended 7, 8, 9 wars. Sure, lie about that all you want, Donald. But you haven't brought peace to our country. You are not domestically focused on peace. Donald Trump carries out more political violence than any president we've ever seen within this country every single day. He is purposely ripping families apart to instill fear in Black and brown communities. Jesse Watters said this on air. He loves the stories of American citizens being ripped from their homes, from their cars, from their families, and sent to foreign torture prisons. He said this on air because it scares people. Donald Trump and Jesse Watters want you scared because they're disgusting and sick fucks, and they'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. They want you living in fear, and that is political violence. There's nothing peaceful about that. But the plan, how that is being orchestrated, is not being done by Donald Trump, and that was just exposed right here. Trump target begs president's family to stop letting aides take advantage of his dementia. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker believes Donald Trump's calls to have him arrested come down to the president's declining mental fitness. In a Wednesday Truth Social post, Trump called for Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson to be jailed while accusing the pair of Democrats of failing to protect ICE agents. The president was angered by legal challenges from local officials to block the deployment of National Guard units to Chicago amid ongoing protest over ICE raids. I do not expect to be arrested, and the President of the United States says a lot of crazy things, Pritzker told the Daily Beast podcast from the New Republic. Playing into reports of the 79-year-old president's alleged cognitive decline, the governor urged Trump's family to stop letting his aides take advantage of him. I genuinely think there is something wrong with him. I wish that his family would intervene because I do think he needs mental health help. And I don't think anyone around him that works for him is going to do that because they're benefiting from his failure of mental health, his dementia, Pritzker said. I wish someone would help out the President of the United States. This led the White House comms office to freak out, with spokeswoman Abigail Jackson saying Pritzker's family should intervene to get him a dietitian. Pritzker separately said on X on Wednesday that he will not back down in response to Trump's post. Trump is now calling for the arrest of elected representatives checking his power. What else is left on the path to full-blown authoritarianism? It is also important to note that recently, Stephen Miller said on CNN, if I put federal law enforcement and National Guard into a nice, sleepy southern town, is anyone going to riot? Someone pointed out the fact that Miller said I. This all comes as recent reporting in Rolling Stone alleges that Stephen Miller is the one running things in the White House, and everything that people suspect Donald Trump is doing is actually being carried out by Stephen Miller. We have heard time and time again reporting from within the White House talking about how Stephen Miller is really running things. And now J.B. Pritzker has said what everybody is thinking out loud, that this is happening because Donald Trump is in cognitive decline, that Stephen Miller is taking advantage of Trump because he likes to play president, that Donald Trump's cognitive decline is not just scary because he has gotten more outlandish, outrageous, and angry, willing to do whatever it takes to punish his political enemies, but because those around Trump who can take advantage of his decline are scarier than he is. I am much more worried about the President Stephen Miller than I am the President Donald Trump wasting away, his brain spilling out of his ears, focusing on his Spotify playlist and remodeling the White House. That is a buffoon. Trump is a buffoon, but Stephen Miller is scary as hell, and he wants to see people really hurt. He is an angry, vengeful little man, like AOC said. This is a bald, little 4'10" tyrant, and he will stop at nothing to hurt anyone who stands in his way. And that might include, at this point, the President of the United States. Stephen Miller is taking advantage of Trump and his cognitive decline, and also let's stop calling it the alleged cognitive decline. I think Donald Trump talking about prices going down by 700%, forgetting the names of countries, unable to recall when his term started, who he is or who he's talking with, his lack of physical understanding of the world around him when people just pop up in his periphery. He's like, and J.D. Vance is a great guy. Oh, he's standing right next to me. I didn't realize because I'm in decline. Yeah, of course Donald Trump is being taken advantage of. And don't even get me started on J.D. Vance. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised to see if we begin to see some of that 25th Amendment talk being pushed out by the tech oligarchs who want J.D. Vance in charge of things, because that's really the person closest to Trump who would love to see his downfall. I don't know. But I think it's also important to point out those who are actually fighting against Donald Trump, not for their gain, but for the protection of their citizens. One of them we talked about earlier, that's J.B. Pritzker. He spoke to Rachel Maddow about the attacks launched clearly by Stephen Miller, and I want to take a look right here.
Let me ask you just first about this call to your fellow governors around the country. What are you asking them to do here to support you?
Well, let's start with we should stand as one against the idea that Donald Trump has the ability to call up our National Guard against our will. I want to remind you that just last year, Joe Biden tried to call up National Guard, federalize them, to take Air National Guard and move them into the Space Force. And all 50 governors signed onto a letter, including, I might add, Greg Abbott from Texas, saying that it was improper for the President of the United States to call on governors to either send their National Guard or to federalize the National Guard so that the president could use them however he wanted to. Now, this year, of course, Greg Abbott is a tool of Donald Trump. He's his lackey. And he is, in fact, doing exactly what Donald Trump wants and going against exactly what Greg Abbott said he would do last year. So this is a problem. The National Governors Association, under Governor Stitt from Oklahoma, who's chair, seems unwilling to stand with the rest of us governors, Governor Kotek, Governor Newsom, and others, to prevent Trump from taking our National Guard, federalizing them, and then using them either against us or against other states.
Today, you sued to try to get a federal judge to block that deployment. It seems like we're going to have what will amount to a substantive hearing on that matter on Thursday, but here it is Monday night. It seems like in the meantime, there is reporting that some 200 Texas National Guard members are expected to fly to Chicago on military aircraft tonight. I know this is a very short-term question, but what is your plan in the short term for this interim period where you may have federalized National Guard troops on the ground before the court has actually ruled?
Well, the judge did warn the federal lawyers that if, in fact, they brought those National Guard and put them on the streets, that would be a really bad idea because there may be a ruling against them in just a couple of days.
More Democrats need to sound like J.B. Pritzker, and we need to have this conversation around crime on our terms. Let's talk about community safety. Let's talk about investments into after-school programs, investment into making sure that there is mental health care in communities, that it is not just a cop showing up every time someone calls 911, that communities have the proper services that they need, and that we actually care about people and treat them with humanity and not just respond like every incident, accident, and emergency is the same. It's not. People need different solutions for different problems, and Donald Trump just wants to throw a National Guard catch-all and think that's going to solve things. It's not. He is not smart enough and does not care enough to actually want to make communities better. That is messaging Democrats need to use. We're going to continue to talk about it on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.